I think as we go into the Christmas season, which is for the vast majority of us, a very stressful couple of months between everything that we do and Christmas gift buying and decorating and cooking and baking and all of that kind of stuff. So I think this is a pretty appropriate time to talk a little bit about what makes us happy. Because for many reasons, I think the Christmas season, personally, I think we've got it a little bent out of shape. So we're going to talk a little bit about getting back to basics today. So I had you flip your papers over because I want you to just right off the top of your head, I want you to list 3 things that absolutely make you happy. Things that make you feel good, things that make you smile, whether it's petting your animal, whether it's baking cookies, whether it's sitting in a chair and reading a book. I just want you to list a couple of things. If one of the things that makes you happy is your job or something you do at your job, you're ahead of about 80 or 85% of the population. Most of us, when we think about the things that make us happy, it doesn't have anything to do with how much money we have in the bank. It doesn't have anything to do with how much traveling we're doing. It doesn't have anything to do with what the weather is outside or what our job is most of the time. Usually it's about the little things in life that make us smile. For me, it's coming home to the wagging tails, 3 dogs. If those wagging tails aren't there, because what they're telling me is I love you and I'm glad to see you again. Those kinds of things are really what our lives, believe it or not, should be centered on. It's really what we need to take. Now we need to work, we need to take care of our responsibilities, we need to pay the bills, we need to do whatever it is that we need to do. What we cannot forget is to take time to do the things that make us smile. And some of what we go into, because I've got like 14 in the packet, there are 14 things that we can do. There's a couple of them that I'm going to spend a little time on because they're things that are particularly important to me, okay? So you can flip that back over again, but I want, later today, I want you, if you would take a look at that list before you go to bed tonight, and just take a look at it and say, did I get these things into my life today? Because if you didn't, I want you to start trying to do that. It makes a huge amount of difference. And when 95% of our physical ailments have to do with how we're feeling emotionally, feeling good about life and feeling happy is the key to us feeling good physically and being able to do the things that we want to do.
I have a question. Why does it start with 3?
Because questions 1 and 2 were silly. I got it off the internet. Question 1 was, what's your name? Question 2 was, what's your email address? And those things don't matter. So it was I think it's a 14 question thing, but when you get it off the internet, they want your information. So I just took the good ones. So we're going to run through these, and this is something that I don't think these kinds of tests should take a whole lot of time. I think you should read them and I think you should answer them, because I think when we think about them, we start thinking about what should the answer be, and we don't get the truth out of us. So one of the questions, how often do you share your feelings with friends or relatives? Often? Not often? Do you spend your life just telling everybody that it's fine? Or if you're sad, do you say, you know what, I'm really sad today? That doesn't mean you need to get into an entire 45-minute conversation, but a little bit of just expressing your feelings is a great thing. How often do you do kind things for others? I'm really huge on this. I'm really big on the pay it forward. I like to do kind things. I don't care whether it's opening the door at a store or offering to carry somebody's groceries, or making monster cookies for everybody to enjoy. I don't care what those things are. I really like to do things that are kind for other people. First of all, it makes absolutely no difference to me whether they want it or not, or whether they enjoy it or appreciate it. It's all about how it makes me feel. And I will do just about anything to help myself feel good about who I am and where I'm at during the day.
Hey, John, the first thing I wrote on the other side was doing nice things for people.
And I have to tell you guys, every once in a while I get this cool little, our mailbox is full of what? Bills and junk. And every once in a while, I get this cool little handwritten envelope. I'm like, the first time I got one, I was like, who did this guy? And I open it up, and Belinda sends me jokes out of the newspaper. So for
Get to do with finances and stuff, yeah.
So for 46 cents, she has made my day. It is such a neat thing. And I like to write people notes, and one of the things I hear is we never, with the age of computers and emails, we rarely ever get a written note from anybody.
I'm in your customer hall
Yep.
here at the post office. I am.
You make my day. So today I came in and Belinda had a joke for me. I just love it. How often do you do 20 minutes or more physical exercise? That's really important, and I'll tell you why. I mean, it's very simple for me. If I get the dogs out every night and walk and just move, first of all, my stress level, I can feel it drop. Secondly, you'd think it'd be really good for the bottom half of your body. My shoulders, which carry a lot of stress, and most of ours do, my shoulders relax when I go for a walk. The air is fresh, it feels good, the dogs have gotten exercise, they're not as stir crazy. So getting exercise is a great way to take care of your health, physically and emotionally. If you know what your strengths and virtues are, that is a question on there. And do you use them creatively? Do you use them to better your life, and the lives of those around you? I find a deep sense of fulfillment in my life. I engage in activities. For those of you that are watching this, Josh will have this quiz available for you so you can take. I engage in activities that I find challenging and absorbing. One of the easiest ways to keep our minds healthy is to work them. We all know that our quadriceps are muscles. Our heart is a muscle. What I didn't know until just a few years ago is that our brain is a muscle. So the more we work it, the better it works and the faster it works. The best thing you can do is to challenge it by trying to learn something you don't learn. They say if you want to beat off Alzheimer's or just age-related dementia, one of the best things you can do is learn a foreign language, because it's so challenging to your brain, and it makes it actually, there's a huge science behind it, but it actually, your neural pathways have to create new pathways in order to do what you're asking it to do, because it's not the same old thing. So just like your leg muscles, if you do the same thing all the time, they're going to get into that pattern, and that's what they're going to be good at. So if you want to really challenge them, you do something different. They're treating stroke victims the same way. They're helping these people through exercise and therapy to create new neural pathways that enable their bodies to work again. It's an absolutely fabulous, it's a science I like.
Stroke victims learn a foreign language.
Johnny Carson started learning Russian. He was just a year or so short of retirement. At what age did he retire? Something like 70 years old. And that's what he said. He said, I'm taking on a new challenge and I'm learning Russian, which is a pretty difficult language to learn.
Wasn't dance?
Oh, we have cookies. Bring them on in.
Wasn't dance another one of the new?
Would you put them on the table, please?
New efforts
Thank you.
That supposedly challenge the brain. If you're not a dancer already, that learning to dance was another one of those, because it involved learning patterns and a different side of the brain.
Yep. So the right side is all analytical. It's a 3-second rule.
Yeah.
The left side is creative. So I am right-brained. So if I want to stretch my mind, doing something creative like learning dance, learning the steps, it's not only the muscle work, but it's also working the brain to learn the steps, makes a huge difference. Yeah. Or trying to paint, and I literally, if I use of course I've, got a limited number of brain cells left, but if I use my brain hard, I literally can feel that by the end of the day, my brain is tired, and then I know that I've done it. How are they?
Very good. Do we get the recipe?
Well, kind of. I don't follow the recipe 100%, so if you make them and you'll be able to get it, because we did a cookie segment as part of the show, you'll be able to get the recipe, but if you make it according to the recipe, they won't taste exactly like this.
Did you
So
put a recipe in the cookbook for the senior center?
I didn't.
Oh.
I didn't know the senior center had a cookbook.
Just put it on. It's cool.
Next year, we'll get her done next year.
Very good.
Good, you have lots to eat. The next one is I have feelings of gratitude toward people and events from my past. This is one that's kind of difficult for me because if I remember something, I usually remember the things I regret or the mistakes that I made. So then I have to literally remind myself to switch gears and remember something good. But being grateful for the things that you have had, for the people that have touched your lives, is really a powerful, especially when you're feeling down, it's a powerful, powerful message to send yourself. I'm able to focus on the present moment. Don't get distracted by thoughts of the past or future. I learned many, many decades, literally decades ago, somebody said to me, if you have 1 foot in the future and 1 foot in the past, you're going to shit on today. Sorry. But it's true. I mean, if you're so busy either living in what's going to happen tomorrow or how good life would be only if tomorrow, or if you spend your time being angry about the past or I wish I was younger because my body worked better, then you're literally going to lose all of the joy and all of the fulfillment that you can get from today. That's a tough lesson for me. It'll be a lifelong one. And I'm optimistic about the future. Do you feel good about your days to come? Do you think you're going to enjoy whatever time you have left in life? We don't know how long we have. Are you going to enjoy it? Are you going to look forward to it? So on the next sheet then, we get to something, and I actually gave credit. This was written by Andrea Malin, and it is what people have found through studies and through questioning and through tests with people. These are 14 ways to find joy. Number 1, notice what's right. Experts agree that optimistic people are happier people. And optimism is kind of one of those, do you look at life through rose-colored glasses? And I've always been huge on looking at life realistically, and that actually is less healthy emotionally for us than to look at life through rose-colored glasses. So I try to put on my rose-colored shades and just try to remember that I don't always have to be super realistic about the way life is. I just don't. It just isn't necessary. Sometimes it's fun to and I think it's all about taking a look at something and seeing what's good about it instead of what's bad. Because there is good in absolutely everything. Sometimes it just takes a little bit to actually try to find it.
There's a downside to this that's unfortunate because I'm always optimistic and it drives people crazy.
Because
Absolutely
Right? What's
nuts.
with you, right?
I moved out on that guy because he kept saying, you're just not a realist. And I said, I know what's happening day to day. I know what management needs to be done here to take care of business. But I'm not going to make it dull and boring and an effort all of the time. I'm going to enjoy doing things. And just when you're dealing with a pessimist, an optimist is the worst person on earth.
30 years ago, I wasn't such a happy person. I wasn't a person you would label as optimistic or cheerful at all. And so cheerful people and optimistic people used to anger me to the point where I would blow up in their face. And it wasn't because I didn't like that they were optimistic. It was because I didn't like that I wasn't optimistic. So when we take a look at people, they say that everybody is a mirror. So when we take a look at people, what we dislike in someone else is usually what we dislike in ourselves. And what drives us crazy about someone else is often what drives us crazy about ourselves. So if you're looking at the difference between optimism and pessimism, very often it's simply because they want what you have and they don't see a way of getting it. And it's easier to bring someone down to your level than it is to rise to theirs. So I understand that, but I'm all for optimism. Lots of people today say, you're always cheerful and you just, life is always good.
I feel blessed.
And I say, imagine that. Because I don't feel like I always am, but I do really try to find the good in whatever is happening in my life. Even when I'm living through a bunch of challenges, there is always something good. And I'll put in just a little aside. A week and a half ago, a woman who was my second mom died. And I am very sad. She was very sick. She had Alzheimer's, dementia, whatever you want to call it. And she was in a memory care unit. And I can look back at that and I can say, I'm so sad that she's gone. Or I can look back at that and say, how blessed am I that she loved me. And that is a far stronger feeling for me than to look at it as now she's gone and I have an emptiness. I have a fullness in my heart that I would have never had she not been in my life. And that really is what optimism is all about. It's not that I'm not sad she's gone. It's that I had a chance to see her the beginning of October and I don't make it back to my hometown, not even once a year. So I was blessed to be able to see her just recently. So I can look back on that and say, wasn't that a great gift I received? And wasn't she a great gift of my life?
Was it a good visit? Did she knew you or?
She did not have any idea. You know, it was here again. It was one of those mixed kind of things because she had no idea who I was. My best friend in high school, her daughter died 15 years ago from cancer. And she has always called her Angel Penny. And it was the only thing I could say that actually got any kind of a response out of her. But when I sat very near her and touched her, she was very comfortable with it. She was comfortable with me being there. She was comfortable with me holding her hand. So I know that at some level, she knew that me being close to her was a good and loving thing.
How did you reference Angel Penny to her? Did you say you were a friend of Angel?
No, I just asked her. If she thinks of Angel Penny, and I don't think she would have. I don't think she would have made that connection. She was toward the end able to recognize people from where they came from. So I told her I'm from Wisconsin, but that didn't bring any recognition with her either. But I was incredibly blessed to be able to have had that time with her and to be able to sit with her for a little while. So
She was comfortable with you. That was really.
she was very, she was not pulling away at all. She was very, very comfortable with me. So that says on some level that she knew that this was good. And that all those times that she said she loved me wasn't a lie. Number 2, be grateful. Be grateful for what you have. They say the easiest way to bring better things into your life is to be grateful for what you've got right now. We all have lots of gifts. We all have way more things to be grateful for than we have to be ungrateful for. Again, it's just a matter of finding them. Remember the kid you were. I like this one. This one, you talk about people getting mad at you because you're an optimist. I love this one. Remember the kid you were. I am one of those people that have been told many times throughout my life, you really just need to grow up. I like making snow angels. I like jumping in the first puddle in the spring. I don't care what I'm wearing. You jump in the puddle and you splash water all over the place. I like to play. I like to just enjoy. I like to take time. I like to laugh at funny things and walk around and say funny. I like to do that. Do I do that all day, every day? Of course I don't. But I don't deny myself. I think we spend a lot of time. I think we've been taught that you need to enjoy your childhood while you have it, because then you have to grow up. And I don't think that we have to leave all of that behind. I think that we can certainly balance all the responsibilities we have as adults and still have some fun and play and splash and, you know, go out, and I'll put on my snowsuit in the middle of the winter, and I'll go out and I'll plop myself down in the middle of the snow, and my horses come and I'm sitting. And they come and they look at me like, what are you doing? But they enjoy it. It's those kinds of things that I don't ever want to lose about myself, because I think it's a great way to keep yourself sane in a world that, if we allow it, is going to drive us over the edge.
You know what they say, growing old is mandatory, growing up is optional.
You're right. You're right. And I have a little stone that says, age is not the amount of years, it's the state of mind. And I truly choose not to be old. I just choose. And I have that choice. I mean, I'm 50. I could choose to be old and say, you know, life is more than I remember when my dad turned 40.
Oh, really?
Oh, I swear I remember every minute of that day, and it wasn't a pleasant day. So I can choose to think that my life is half over and that this is a downside, or I can say my life is only half over. And I got the best to come, because I've done all of that learning that I needed to do in the first half. So now I'm going in ahead of the game. So I get to start over, and I get to have a great second. I like to age. I was happy when I turned 30. I was happier when I turned 40. I was thrilled when I turned 50. And I'm going to be, as long as I'm healthy, I truly, absolutely.
See, I just look out in the garage and I see my 71 Mustang that I bought when I was 20, and I'm 63 now, so I figure, oh, I can't possibly be that old.
That's right.
The car I bought when I was 20, it's right there.
I was-
It's good looking too.
When I bought my house here 4 years ago, the first thing that I did, I mean, pretty much within the first 2 days, was I hung a rope swing from the big tree in the front yard. And about, I don't know, it might have been within the next month or so, I was out swinging in the front yard, and I actually had a guy pull in off the road and say,
You all right?
yeah, well, that was kind of the
Yeah.
direction that it was taking. But he said, you know, I'm just so happy to see somebody on a road swing. That's something you don't see.
Maybe made him think.
You know what the cool, one of the things that I think is coolest about an experience like that is you changed
It made
the whole
Yeah.
timbre of his day.
yeah.
And who knows for how long he thought, wasn't that the neatest thing? You know, I was running late to work and I was all stressed out, or, you know, whatever was going wrong with his day, and you just changed the whole direction.
Oh, that's the whole, yeah.
And we forget that we are that interconnected with the people around us, and that our attitudes,
I think we are.
we are,
With a
absolutely.
positive or a very negative. You could say something to just crush somebody's spirit,
Right.
just as easily say something
the
that makes
other.
their day. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes, yep. So that's number 3. Remember the kid you were. Have some fun. Snow angel time is coming, I'm telling you.
Not now, though, there's self on the road, so.
Number 4, be kind. We talked a little bit about that, little tiny acts of kindness. Being kind doesn't take any money. We're going to talk about this whole Christmas thing too here in a little bit. Being kind doesn't take any money. Smiles are free. You know, thank yous are free. Pleases are free. Those are the kinds of things that matter. Spend time with your friends. When we get really busy, that's a tough thing to do, and it ties well into the holidays because we think holidays are supposed to be all about family, and the holidays are over and we go, I was so busy trying to get ready for the family, I didn't enjoy any time with the family. You know, I wanted to do all of these things and I didn't get them done because I didn't take the time or because I didn't have the time. Sure, we did. Mother Teresa used to say, we all have the same 24 hours a day. That is an incredible, look at how much she accomplished in her life. And then I have to read that she says, we all have the same 24 hours a day. And I went, ugh. Very, very powerful statement to make.
Well, you know, when you say you don't have time, if somebody called you on the phone and said, you know, a loved one or something has been in an accident or, you know, they're in the hospital, you'd drop everything you're doing and you'd go right there. You'd have the time for that. So it's kind of what you make time for.
It is. It's what you make time for, and it's how you use the time that you have. And we all make choices. One of the things that the granddaughter of Lois said to me on Facebook was, she said,
Is that the lady there?
the one that passed away, she's 25. She's lost both her parents, one of her grandparents. She lost, both of her parents have died.
So Penny was her mom?
Penny was her mom.
Okay.
And she posts on Facebook. I sent her a message, and she says to me, you know, when you get to be this age, there's a sad thing to hear. She's 25.
Yes.
When you get to be this age, you start thinking about all of the things that the choices you've made have made you miss. Not the kind of thing I want to hear out of a 25-year-old. She's got this beautiful little 2-year-old boy. That's not the kind of thing I want to hear out of her mouth. The fact is, when it comes to time, we all make choices. You know, what's important. And that's all part of the whole grown-up thing, is we have to make choices to leave some things or people behind in order to do whatever it is that we've chosen to do. Creating a new family is part of that. So these aren't necessarily negative things. It's just a matter of saying, what choices can I make today? What are the ones
Go from here.
that are going to be the best for me? And you do your best, you make the decisions, you do your best, and you move on from there. And you realize that I can't have everything. I can't still be a kid and have my family the way it was and be an adult and have my own family. I just can't. It's not possible. So, but to hear that out of a 25-year-old's mouth was,
Well, at least she's got plenty of time to change things around then, doesn't she? It isn't like she's
she does.
90.
And she's made some great decisions. She's got a beautiful little boy. She has a family. She has many of the things that she wanted in life. She's got a great life. Losing grandma, who essentially raised her, was pretty tough to do.
What did you write back? Did you write back to her?
I did. And I tried to tell her, I said, you know what, we all make choices. We all have to leave some things behind in order to create new. It's just part of the living process. And it doesn't mean we've done bad. And part of her reference was to not seeing people, and part of that was to not getting back, because she's 2.5 hours from Grandma and Grandpa. So to not get back there and see her as often as she wanted. And I said, you know what? If you saw me as much as I talk about you, you'd be so sick of me, you'd ask me to go. It isn't about how much time we spent. It's about the size, it's about the quality of it, and it's about how much love you have in your heart for them. Number 6, don't overdo it. Just don't. You know, we're physically healthier if we take naps during the day.
I'm not going to do that this afternoon. Give me permission.
You know, I get to a point of time at night, and I didn't get my cookies rolled last night like I just get to a point where I say, you know what, I've done enough, it's time to relax and go to bed. It'll get done tomorrow, or it won't. And I have yet to have the world fall apart because I didn't get that last thing done tonight.
Creaking last night, so it must have been when you didn't get those rolls.
It probably. And this ties into the holidays. Don't overdo it. Don't clean your house before the family gets there, because it's going to get messy anyway, because it should. So clean it after they leave, or don't clean it at all. And just live in a hairy house like I do. There's a story there. I'm not going to go there. Number 7, savor every moment. You know, that's another thing that I try to do, especially when they're the good times. Like I'll just stand in the barn and I'll look at my animals, and everybody knows my animals are just my whole world. But I'll just stand there and I'll just look at them and I'll just feel good, you know. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. There's nothing wrong with just savoring the moment. If something, like someone, you see somebody in a rope swing and it just makes you feel, there's nothing wrong with stopping and taking just a moment to really embed how that feels and how good that feels.
Did other people happen to put animals in their feel-good time? I mean,
I've had one that's been gone for many years, and no, I would get one right away if I were alone.
okay. Well, I'm just wondering because, actually, as I looked at mine, all 3 of them had to do with the barn or the animals or.
Oh yeah, you're right up my alley.
Yeah, well, and it's, you really can't, tell you what, I'll invite you guys to my barn and you can sit in the middle of the goat pen and listen to the talk.
Oh, my
you would-
goodness,
you
sure,
would-
I'm
You
sure.
would be instantly relaxing. So it's the
Well,
same
that's,
idea.
that's
Listening
kind
to
of,
this-
that's kind of like a beginning when I was a child. I had to be more or less raised by grandparents through the summer months. And my greatest joy is that they were on the farm.
Yep.
And I said, what these kids don't know about or see, and of course, texting and all just drives me crazy.
Yeah, but the quiet that isn't
Oh,
really
it's-
quiet.
no.
Oh,
The noises that are,
Wonderful.
yeah, natural, that just sort of seep right into you.
the world is noisy if you shut your mind off enough that your ears can open. You know, between the wind and the leaves and the animals and the footsteps and all of those, people say the country is quiet, and it is, and yet it's very noisy because there's all kinds of
My
things.
greatest joy
But
is
I'm
taking
with
a
you.
cup of coffee when it's warm out and walking down the road, a dirt road. We're on 6 acres, and just thanking God every day that we're there, hearing and seeing, you know, the sun coming through.
Sure.
And it's just a,
Now, if we could just get rid of a steel mill or two.
yeah.
Joe and I looked at a house in the country when we came up here to look for houses, and it was an old schoolhouse that was converted up here on the thing. And there was absolutely no sound except across the field through these bees. There was all sorts of, plants, whatever they were, and you could hear the hum of the bees across the road. Wow, this place is quiet, we can hear the bees. So see, even though it was quiet, there was still
Yeah,
sound.
there was
and
sound.
that's-
Always sound. It's just for me, it's a matter of turning my head off. My ears can't open fully unless I can shut my mind off. So if, once I achieve that, then everything is good. Number 8, move more. Get a little exercise. Get up. They say, I read somewhere one time, and I tried this once. They say, lose your keys on purpose.
Oh dear.
Because you get a bunch of exercise trying to figure out where they are. And it was the whole point of moving. So, if I forgot, like last night I headed out to do chores and I forgot something upstairs, I had to come back up. And John said, what happened? And I said, I just forgot my flax. And he goes, well, it just gave you a little more exercise. And I said, that's exactly what I needed, was one more trip up the stair.
You know that expression, why is it, when you're looking for why is it always in the last place you look? Of course it is, because once you find it, you're not gonna keep looking. Just remember that.
Yes, I had to prove that wrong once.
Oh, you did.
I found it and I kept looking. Just so that for once in my life, it was not in the last place I just had to.
Just on principle, I'm gonna keep looking.
That's the whole, remember the kid in you? I just had to keep looking. And that was just the silliest thing I've ever done in my life.
Well, do you also look in the freezer when you're really frustrated?
Yeah, because
Because
don't
that's
tell
a-
me I put it in the freezer. Don't
Well,
tell me I put it in the fridge.
Well, I think it's important to do that just to give yourself a stopping point. Say, okay, I am so frustrated at this point.
Yes.
Let's look someplace where it's really ridiculous.
And that's where it is?
hope
Freezer,
it's not
close
there.
it again, and your whole mind kind of goes, Okay, now I can pay attention.
Empty the mind.
Yeah. Or if you've had a day where everything you touch falls out of your hand, whatever, pick up something intentionally and drop it on the floor
Okay.
and start over. It's sort of like a reset. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Uh-huh. Yep.
just to get beyond the frustration of whatever is frustrating.
But
you.
not like a big,
Well, I would
base,
stay
not
away
a
from
big
the
dynasty base.
antiques probably.
you know, oh, okay, I feel much better.
I've been known to break things of value.
Oh.
I don't know that I've ever not regretted it. So now when I get really mad and I want to hit something or I want to break something, I try to pick out things that are not valuable.
This is important.
Just saying.
I think that's a reboot also.
It is sometimes.
That's a reboot.
It is. You know, I was taught in babysitting class when I was 12 years old. They said if you're so frustrated at the kids you don't know what to do, step outside the door and scream. And I did that, and it worked really well. I was so wound up, I didn't know what to do with the kids. I stepped outside and I just screamed bloody murder. It's a good thing we were in the country. We'd have had fire department and police all over the place. But I just let it out, and when I went back in, I was calm and I could deal with it. Same thing, it's the whole reset. It's what can I do to just reset what's going on. And sometimes it's, you know, doing whatever, to open up the freezer, drop something, preferably that doesn't break, or you don't care if it breaks. Number 9, really rest. You know, we go to bed, we're still dealing with everything that's going on during the day. How often do we just really rest? And sometimes that's just a little 5-minute, 10-minute, just sit down and take a break and allow yourself, not, okay, I'm going to take just a short little break and then I'm going to get up and I'm going to do that. That's not it. It's sit down with that cup of coffee. Take a walk with that cup of coffee. Just rest. Just give yourself, and it doesn't necessarily mean sitting down or sleeping. It means take a minute to just breathe. Number 10, put on a happy face. There are times when I just really want to tell people I'm sad. Most of the time, I really would prefer to, and I don't have a problem with saying I'm sad today, but that doesn't mean that I have to go into an entire monologue about what is wrong. It just means that I'm sad, but I can still put on a happy face. I can still say I'm sad. Today is a good day. You know? It just is. And if you're just mad about something, if life is just frustrating, if you just can't find the keys and opening up the freezer didn't work, putting on a happy face can change your mood, because what you're upset about, does it really matter? Something else somebody told me decades ago was, if it's going to matter in 20,000 years, you need to get it done. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. So when it comes to lawn mowing, is it going to matter in 20,000 years whether I mow today or tomorrow? No. Then let it go. If it matters, loving, giving, feeling, sharing, if it's going to matter, and there are things that will matter in 20,000 years, they need to get pretty high on your priority list, and leave all of the crap that doesn't matter. I don't care if I have dirty carpeting. My vet is coming over today. Long story. My vet is coming over today. He's going to need to lay down on the floor to get at one of my cats. This is a long story. I'm not going there. He's going to get up and he's going to be dog hair from tip to toe. Sorry. It is what it is. I've got 5 indoor animals and I haven't been able to vacuum because I've got one of them under a chair. It just is what it is. So I can feel bad about that and I can send myself into a tizzy about it, or I can say, you know what, it's life, and he'll be okay because he has a wash machine at home. You know what I mean?
Now, he might have to go to the laundromat and really put him out.
Helping
Hire somebody for a job.
helping Buster will matter. Jim's clothes being full of dog hair will not.
And I'm sure he gets plenty of that
You
anyway.
know,
He does.
I did have a caveat to that. I find personally that when I am really cranked up with things going on in my head,
Start cleaning.
the things that are driving me nuts, it seem to be a few things. If I can take care of a few things that are small that have been driving me nuts, to feng shui, to rearrange a few things in the house that are calming. That's important. When my desk is this deep, and I realize that I'm not getting any work done because I'm staring at this, you say, okay, I'm taking an hour. I don't care if I've got 5 hours worth of work to do. I'm taking an hour to clean off that stack, because it's another regroup. Or to clean off the kitchen counter when you're sitting in the living room and you look to the kitchen and it's just a jumble, that it makes the whole mind.
They call those broken windows. What would you do if you had a broken window in your house?
You'll fix it right away.
Right then.
We don't take care of the broken windows in our life. So things that I ignore that need to get done, and it's a day after day, and it's bugging me, it's a broken window. So I learned this not very long ago. They said take care of the broken windows. Stack of papers on your desk, it's a broken window. And because I don't do well with having to clean up an entire stack, on my daily to-do list, it's clean a little bit of my inbox where all of the mail goes. I don't care if I only get one piece out of that box. That's a success for me, because if I'm looking at an entire stack, I'll never get it all done. So so every once in a while, something, I look at it day after day after day. It's like, and I'll just finally say to myself, fix the broken window. And it doesn't always come out that clean. Fix the broken window. And then I go, well, that felt really good. It's another reboot.
Eat an elephant one bite at a time. Right?
That's right. That's right. Number 11, pursue your goals. What do you want to do? If you knew you had 5 years left, what would you want to do? How would you want to be remembered? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? Now that can be really deep, or it can be pretty light. You know, if I died tomorrow, would I be happy with how people remembered me?
The cookies. We'd say, boy, that girl.
They would say, I'm so sad she's gone. She made good cookies.
She just couldn't give us the recipe.
She died with the recipe. My grandmother did that to me with honey wheat white mixed bread. Died with that recipe in her head because she wouldn't write it down for me.
I was going to say, did she really just have in her mind, and however she did it that day, that was it? Right?
Oh,
Can't
oh,
do it.
best bread in the world. Yeah, she took that to her grave. She's laughing at me now. Yep. So pursue your goals. What do you want to do? If you could do anything, and they say, take any restrictions out. Money restrictions, time restrictions, health restrictions, take them all out. If you could do anything you wanted for the rest of your life, anything you wanted, what would it be? I know what mine is. I know what mine is. And it absolutely fills my heart. What would it be? And then I get to say, this is what I would do if I could do anything in my life. What's one small part of it? What is one small part of it? Horses, for me, is one small part of that. So what can I do? Because we need to take those restrictions out of our life. Because once we get rid of the chains, then all of a sudden we're free to do things that we never thought we could do. You know what I mean? So if it's travel to Italy, get the Rosetta Stone and learn Italian instead. Or, do something, or research and read all about it. Italy's a wonderful country. Greece is better. Read all about it. Do some research. Get to know it. You don't have to go there. Just do something and pursue your goals, whatever they are. Maybe your goals are taking a nap every day. What a great thing to do. By the way, January 1st with our New Year's goals is coming up. Make a New Year's goal that is good for you. It's not about I'm going to spend more time with family. It's not about I'm going to diet. It's not about I'm going to exercise every day. It's about what am I going to do? I'm going to take a nap every day. What a great New Year's goal to have. What a great New Year's goal to have. I think I'll have that one. Number 12, get into the flow. Flow is one of those terms that it's just kind of, imagine, has everybody here canoed down a river? Boated down a river? Floated?
No, I can't swim.
Sat in the bathtub.
I can't swim, so.
With the water running. With the water running.
Sledded down a hill. Okay, got it.
I've
All right, here's the same,
You don't have.
here's the same thing. Now I can tell you, because you've already done it, you can get into a lot of trouble on a tube.
Alligators.
Well, you know, there's the
I
whole,
was in Florida, so-
there's the whole, yeah. Water, Florida, alligators, no. It's a go with the flow. I can get into a tube and head downriver, and I can just kind of go where it takes me, or I can turn around and I can start trying to paddle upstream. Which one is more comfortable? Flowing down. That's the whole get into the flow. Instead of trying to figure out how to make life be what you think it's supposed to be, start getting into the flow and just letting it happen. It'll be a whole lot smoother. It'll be a whole lot less stressful. We will be a whole lot happier, and you're going to find out that things happen that are way better than what you had planned. I'm really good at deciding I'm the best decision maker in my life, but it's not true. I mean, there are just things that are just better left if I can just go with the flow and just enjoy what's going on. Number 13, play to your strengths. What's your strength? Do something with that. Instead of trying to be, I tried for years, because I grew up in a very traditional household where girls grow up, they get married, they have babies, they clean house. It didn't fit. It just did not fit with me. So I could have either tried to live in that mold, or I could do what I was good at. And I have always chosen to do what I was good at. And the more things I do that are a strength of mine, the more I enjoy what I'm doing for a living. So even if we're retired, do something you're good at. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And it's not about success or failure. It's about just play to your strengths and improve on them. Because if you're doing what you're good at, it's easier for you to start doing and to try something that you're not very good at and you need to learn. And number 14 is find your calling. Find something in life that really means something to you and just kind of follow it. Just kind of have it out there. I was talking to a gal I graduated from high school with a couple of years ago. And I said, you know,
Graduated a couple years ago? No.
I'm only 20, you know.
Well, she said she graduated.
There was a comment there. No, you're right. I looked at her and I said, when I graduated from high school, the road was straight as an arrow and I held the bow. I said, had I had any idea how many hills and valleys and turns and forks there would have been, I said, I don't know that I would have even wanted to undertake that journey. So it's kind of funny to look back on that. I really thought it was a matter of walking straight to my goals, and that isn't the way that, but had I achieved the goals that I had when I was 18, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I would rather be where I am today, because the choices that have been made through the years, either for me or by me, are really things that have made me more fulfilled as a person. So finding your calling is, you know, sometimes it's about what are you passionate about? What can I do? What can I, you know, how can I change my world? You know that old, there's that old parable. This little boy says, when I grow up, I'm going to change the world. And by the time he got to be a young man, he realized that that was probably more than he could do. And he said, that's okay, because by the time I'm dead, I'm going to have changed my country. And as a middle-aged man, he said, I can't change my whole country. I'm going to change my town. And as an old man, he said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change myself. And that will change the world. And that's a really neat thing to think about, because that's about who we are and how happy we are on a day-to-day basis. As what can we do to make our lives what they really are meant to be, because our lives are meant to be happy. So I'm going to tie this all in for just a couple of minutes into this season that we're coming upon, because the next couple of months are going to absolutely be crazy frantic. Really, if I could leave you guys with anything today, it would be to take Christmas off your calendar. Truly, it would be. It's not that I'm not a bah humbug, and it's not that I'm against Christmas. I'm against everything that drives everybody nuts, that makes this holiday season so stressful it's miserable. That's what I'm against. So if I can spend the Christmas season, and if I can spend the next couple of months just making monster cookies and using them as gifts, very inexpensive. If I can, you know, write out some Christmas cards and get somebody a handwritten envelope, if I can spend some time with friends and family, if I can try to keep that mood and that feeling going on throughout the entire year, that's what I think Christmas is about. I don't think it's about a lot of gifts under the tree. I don't do a whole lot of Christmas shopping, and I stay on a very tight budget when I do. It is truly about sharing with people some time and some energy and enjoying the extra days off that we have, or the time that we get, or the traveling that we do. It isn't about all of the other crap that we let stand in our way. And I think that is what makes this particular topic, and when Terry and I chose this is what I wanted to do in November, is to try to at least give you food for thought of how do I go into this holiday season and make it, if you could come out of it and say, I didn't do a darn thing and it was the best Christmas season I've ever had in my life.
Hey, you want a miracle.
You know what? It's doable.
In other words, you're not giving the three of us a gift.
I'm out.
I can see that.
Excuse me?
Cookies. She made them for
That's
us
true,
today.
that's today, but
They're
she's not
cool.
giving us Christmas presents.
That is a Christmas gift, darn it. No. And I'm not into Christmas gifts either. I would rather give people throughout the year when I see something. My friend Greta, she's had a tough time. I sent her a chocolate apple. Let's talk this chocolate apple on it. It looked like a caramel apple, and I mailed it to her. I said, happy eating. Her and her fiance absolutely loved it. She won't get anything for Christmas, but when she had a little bit of stress in her life, she got a little bit of love in a package from me. That's the way I like to gift. That's the way that I've chosen to do it in my life. So, any questions, comments, concerns, complaints? No? Good. Anything?